Hey everyone, welcome back. Let me ask you something. Have you ever eaten a meal that was just mind-blowingly good? But then, later that day, you start to think, wait, was that actually delicious? Or did my brain just completely lie to me? Well, today, we are pulling back the curtain on the science of flavor. And I'll give you a spoiler alert right now. Your taste buds, they are terrible witnesses. We're counting down the most bizarre and mischievous ways your food is constantly tricking you. We're talking about how your nose hijacks your sense of taste. We'll get into the corporate sorcery that makes you crave junk food. And we'll even uncover how a memory can literally change how something tastes in your mouth. So sit tight. But not too tight. That might ruin the mouthfeel. Number 10. Basic tastes only. Let's start with a hard truth. Your tongue is kinda dumb. I don't mean that to be rude, it's just painfully limited. It can really only register 5 basic things: sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and umami. That's the entire list. That's it. Everything else that you think of as flavor? That's a huge group project that your tongue doesn't even bother to show up for. I'm talking about the texture, the temperature, the smell, what you see, and even what you expect to taste. That's what's doing all the heavy lifting. So that fancy artisanal kombucha you were telling everyone about? Your tongue basically just filed a one-line memo that said kinda sour. The rest of that complex flavor story? That was a dramatic decision made by a committee in your brain. Here's the bottom line. The tongue is just the opening act. Your brain writes the 5-star review. Number 9. The nose is the real chef. Let's put it this way. You lose your nose, you lose your dinner. Seriously. Did you know that something like 80% of what you call taste is actually coming from your sense of smell? Specifically, it's the smell that travels from the back of your mouth up into your nose while you're chewing. Think of it like this. When you chew, all these aroma molecules get released. They take a secret backstage elevator right up to your smell receptors. That's where the food gets its identity. That's where your brain goes, ah, that's strawberry. Or yep, that's steak. Don't believe me? Try it. Pinch your nose shut and eat something. Suddenly, that delicious apple? It's just sweet, wet mush. The actual apple flavor is gone. And you better believe the big food companies know this. They are masters at engineering products with sniff-friendly molecules designed to hit your nose just right. They're like secret flavor-enhancing ninjas. So the bottom line is simple. Your nose is the puppet master. Your tongue? It's just the marionette dancing on the strings. Number 8. Texture tells lies. Alright, let's talk about one of the biggest scams in the food world. Crunch is flavor in a costume. The sounds a food makes, the way it feels in your mouth. It completely changes how you think it tastes. I'm talking about that perfect, satisfying snap of a potato chip, or the smooth, velvety creaminess of ice cream. This is what we call mouthfeel. Think about it. The bubbles in a soda make it feel zingy. A little bit of fat gives a sauce that rich, round feeling. And that crisp crackle of a fresh apple? Your brain immediately translates that sound into freshness. It's a collaboration. Your mouth and your ears are basically teaming up to invent the feeling of deliciousness. This is how they get you. It's why a low-fat yogurt loaded with thickeners can feel just as rich and indulgent as the full-fat stuff. Your brain isn't tasting the fat, it's feeling the thickness and getting completely fooled. So what's the takeaway here? You can basically fake the feeling of decadence. All you need is the right crunch and a good mouth hug. Number 7. Expectation is a flavor superpower. Okay, let's talk about the power of suggestion. You know how if you label something all natural or organic, it just feels like it tastes better? That's not an accident. Your expectations are basically pre-programming your brain for what it's about to taste. It's biasing the whole experience before you even take a single bite. And it's not just words. It's everything. A higher price tag, fancy packaging, a claim like aged for 12 months. Heck, even the font on the box can turn up the pleasure volume in your brain. The most famous example of this is the Pepsi paradox. In blind taste tests, more people actually prefer Pepsi. But when they can see the can, they'll swear up and down that Coke tastes better. Why? Because they expect Coke to be the real thing, and their brain makes it so. Your brain is the ultimate hype man. It can take a totally average, limp potato chip and convince you you're having a life-changing culinary experience. So, the reality check here is simple. You're not tasting the product. You're tasting the story. You're tasting the pitch. Number 6. Color and context do major cosmetic work. Okay, let's talk about the most obvious form of flavor cheating, the one we all silently agree to. Color. Think about it. Why does a deep red strawberry just look juicier? Why do we automatically assume a darker colored drink is going to be sweeter or stronger? Our brains are hardwired to make these connections before the food even gets to our mouths. And it's not just the color of the food itself. The color of your plate, the lighting in the room, even the tablecloth. They're all secretly messing with your perception of taste. There's a reason high-end restaurants use that warm, dim lighting, and it's not just for romance. That warm glow literally makes the food taste richer and fuller in your mind. And that sad-looking salad you're eating under the harsh fluorescent lights of your office? Well, I'm sorry to tell you, the lighting is literally gaslighting your taste buds. So here's a pro tip. If you want that sad salad to taste amazing, give it some ambiance. Dim the lights, and for the love of God, ditch the beige plate. Number 5. Branding wins the Pepsi paradox. Think about the classic soda challenge. You pour 2 different colas into identical unmarked cups, and suddenly, almost nobody can reliably tell them apart. But the second you put those same drinks back in their branded cans, oh, suddenly everyone's an expert. Opinions split faster than an alliance on a reality TV show. Here's what's happening. Branding gives your brain a cheat sheet. It's like a complete personality file for that product. Your brain reads that file. Cool, classic, rebellious, and it uses that to predict what the flavor should be. And that prediction is so powerful, it often completely overwrites what your tongue and nose are actually telling you. This is why companies spend billions. They're not just perfecting the recipe in the can. They're perfecting the story that you're going to taste before you even open it. So in the end, it's simple. Taste is a personality contest, and branding is the one showing up with all the muscle. Number 4. Social settings and environment steer the feel. Have you ever noticed how the exact same meal can taste completely different depending on where you are? Like that pizza you had with friends on a Friday night? 10 out of 10. The leftovers of that same pizza eaten alone at your desk on Monday? Suddenly, it's just okay. That's because your environment is constantly messing with your sense of taste. The people you're with, the music playing in the background, even the lighting in the room is changing how you perceive flavor. And it gets even weirder. Studies have literally shown that music changes how wine tastes. Listen to some quiet classical music, and the wine might seem fruitier. But if you crank up some loud pop music, that same wine can suddenly taste more intense and robust. It all comes down to this. We are social creatures even when it comes to taste. Your enjoyment of a meal is contagious. It's all about the context. So the lesson here is simple. Bring the vibe, and the meal will follow. Number 3. Placebo bites and memory magic. Have you ever wondered why comfort food is so comforting? Why does your mom's soup or your grandma's cookies taste better than any fancy version you could buy? It's because when you expect to taste home, your brain literally serves up a plate of pure nostalgia. Your memory is constantly hijacking your flavor perception. Think about it. A simple cookie that's tied to a happy childhood memory will literally taste sweeter and richer to you than the exact same cookie if you bought it from some random bakery. This is the placebo effect, and it's alive and well in your kitchen. You tell someone a brownie is from a premium artisanal shop, and the pleasure centers in their brain will light up like a Christmas tree. Way more than if you'd said it was from a cheap box mix. Your entire life history is basically the editor of your sense of taste. Your brain is constantly rewriting the flavor to make the memory even better. Which means your favorite comfort food isn't really food at all. It's just a memory slideshow, with a little sugar sprinkled on top. Number 2. The future of flavor is engineered. So, all these little tricks and deceptions we've been talking about, they're not just happy accidents. Welcome to the world of neurogastronomy and flavor engineering. These are actual labs where scientists are mapping our brain's response to food, all to design the perfect, optimized eating experience. The best way to think about it is this. Chefs and food scientists are becoming UX designers for your mouth. They are manipulating everything, the molecules, the texture, the aroma, all to hit a very specific pleasure target in your brain. And this, of course, leads to a huge ethical question. If a company can reliably engineer a product to make your brain think it's delicious, regardless of its nutritional value, have we crossed a line from persuasion into outright manipulation? This technology is incredibly powerful. On the one hand, used responsibly, it could help solve malnutrition by making nutritious food taste amazing. But on the other hand, if it's abused, it's the perfect tool to manufacture cravings for junk food and keep us hooked. So the bottom line is this. Flavor is becoming programmable. And that single idea is both incredibly empowering and absolutely terrifying. Number 1. How to stop being a taste-gullible goofball. Okay, so after all that, what's the good news? The good news is that just by knowing these tricks, you can start to take back control of your own palate. Here are a few things you can actually try. First, do your own blind taste tests at home. It's the single best way to strip away all that marketing and expectation we talked about. Next, really pay attention to smell. Eat something with your nose pinched shut, then unpinch it mid-bite. You will be shocked at how much flavor suddenly floods in. Also, just slow down. I mean, really slow down. Pay attention to the texture. Smell your food before you eat it. When you're not rushing, you give your brain a chance to actually process what's going on. And finally, learn to spot the cheap tricks. When a food is loaded with fat, salt, sugar, and a bunch of engineered aromas, that's often a sign they're compensating for a lack of real ingredients. It all boils down to this: train your attention. When you pay attention, your brain starts to give you a more honest report. So, I want to leave you with one final thought. Your mouth isn't the bad guy here. Your brain is just a very persuasive storyteller. And you get to be the editor. And there you have it. Our messy, mildly terrifying tour of taste deception. Hopefully the next time you eat, it'll feel a little bit like you're watching a magic trick. Except now you know how it's done. If you enjoyed having your mind played with by science, do me a favor and hit that like button. It really helps the channel out. And if you want to see more deep dives where we unmask the sensory cons that run our lives, make sure you subscribe and ring that notification bell, because you are not going to want to miss the next one. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.